Dude.
We're live. Hello, everyone. That is my prayer. Welcome to.
It wouldn't be a Rogue News show without insulting some portion of the audience.
Welcome to Watch Us Trade Live. It's Monday Market Preview. We have with us the men of the hour, the one and only the rootinest, tootinest, horse ridingest, bullfightingest, bad guy taking downingest, chartingest, all types of Bitcoin and crypto action dude himself, the one and only Crypto Cowboy.
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
And
What's up, buddy? And Frank's here too. Hi, guys.
As well.
What's up, Frank?
How's it going, buddy?
Guys, there's a lot of stuff going on in the crypto market. I'm excited. Cowboy, you and I work in the OTC environment heavily. We see the moves, we see the players, we see the positioning. Our new favorite word, man, confluence. We see a lot of that happening in the crypto space, and there's more action now. Now's the time, man. Now's the time. So where do you boys want to start? I mean, there's so much to take. What yarn do you want to pull?
Well, we've got some news we're going to go over. So this is the Monday market preview. So we're just looking at a few news stories. We've got 2 or 3 that we want to touch on, and our last story we're going to look at what is claimed to be some very good news for Bitcoin moving into I don't know if I'd say into a bull market as much as a bull run, maybe both. But it's just some interesting stuff, some positive stuff, a couple negative stories we'll look at. One we're going to debunk about the SEC, or at least maybe not debunk it, but calm it down a little bit. But first, we see this study. This is from CCN, not CNN. No, CCN, crypto something news. Demand for crypto from millennials continues to rise rapidly.
Yep.
So, I'm reading from their story now. According to a study conducted by Deirdre Campbell, Global Chair of Financial Services at Edelman, reported by the New York Post, crypto still remains as a preferable long-term investment among millennial investors. Quote, anyone that has crypto tells me they wish they bought it sooner, said Campbell, whose study revealed that more than 25% of millennials are already using or holding cryptos. 30% of the respondents of the survey disclosed an interest in investing and studying cryptocurrencies with the intent to invest in the short term. That is more than 55% of the millennials. That is more than 55% of millennials already invested or planning to invest in the emerging asset class. So I think that tells us something. It goes on. The next heading is millennials don't trust banks. That's like the next section. So they're talking about how millennials are just sort of seeing the whole financial scene, and they look at cryptos as something that they want to get into. And I'm not a millennial. I'm a little bit too old, but it makes sense to me. This idea that if I'm going to invest in anything, I want it to be cryptos. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that I like investing in, but cryptos are. It's just so, it's like it's this wonderful world you can get into from the comfort of your own home and do it privately. You know, what's not to like? And even though we've been in a bear market, it's still the most attractive. So all signs are pointing to that it's not something of the past. It's something that's building up for the future. Comments, thoughts?
I'd say that the time. I think this business of like crypto versus banks, I think it'll always be there, but I think that it's just going to be a big melding of banks and crypto space. And I think the way that's going to work is through the Lightning Network. And this is something that Roger Ver talked about, and a lot of people have a lot of things to say about Roger Ver. But despite what people have to say about Roger Ver, I would say that his theory is pretty sound, that the Lightning Network is a way for the banks to basically get in and take over and hijack Bitcoin. So basically, you own a ton of Bitcoin and you centralize that in a node on the Lightning Network. And so the Lightning Network is a way for people to have much quicker transactions of Bitcoin without having to go through the classic system of Bitcoin. So essentially, it's like a clearinghouse. It's like a settlement node. And so the people who do that settlement, they take a small fee out of that, and they sort of circumvent the entire Bitcoin system. And they take a cut. And the bigger your node, the more settlement you could do, and the more money you make, and the more you control Bitcoin. And I think there's a reason why you have a lot of institutionals who are buying Bitcoin. And I think that's probably a big piece of it right there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, speaking of, you brought up Roger. What's going on with? Do you have any insight into the Bitcoin Cash fork? What's happening there?
Yeah, so there's and I just learned it this morning because I was out all weekend. I took a couple of days off, and basically,
Your weekend's probably more interesting than any of these stories. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure, yeah.
I know we like to keep privacy, so it's up to you.
No, it's okay. I get married in a couple of weeks, and
Yeah.
excited about that.
Very
Had
excited.
a bachelor party, and it was pretty tame. I'm like 39, so it was kind of bachelor party.
You went shopping for walkers and canes. And,
yeah, exactly. I went to IKEA.
Viagra.
Viagra. Yeah, exactly.
IKEA.
My snake ate my Viagra. Now he's my cane. So, but yeah, we went to the shooting range, did some shotgun shooting, some pistol shooting, which is just my kind of thing. And then, just a couple of us after that broke off and we went to the casino. I made a ×6 on my money. And this is an interesting thing about.
Is that even fun for you since you live in a casino?
Well, actually, it was. I felt right at home. I mean, and I saw all these people get emotional around me when they're losing money and getting emotionally when they win it, and then it's like, no, it's just winning and losing money.
I have this picture of you walking in there with your sunglasses on, in slow motion to just like baller music. Like, I'm home, ladies.
Yeah. It was, over at Pachanga over in Temecula, which is like a Vegas style. It's like I heard, I haven't verified this, but I heard it's like the second grossing casino in the nation. It's a beautiful casino, I sat down and essentially applied some of my trading principles to the casino. And I got a bit lucky and was able to use my trading knowledge to keep the money that I made. when things were looking ugly, I had a stop loss. So we had a great time. It was really fun. I walked away with all my limbs, and that was my weekend.
Very cool. Very cool.
And then when I came back this morning, I was reading up on this Bitcoin, Cash, because I was following it and making out some calls as far as what I thought would happen with the price, and it dumped a lot harder than I thought it would dump based on a fork happening in like a few days.
Yeah.
And so when there's a fork, if this is my understanding, so a lot of you crypto heads out there, feel free to correct me on this. I'm not as big of a tech or fundamental person. I'm a technical trader, but when there's a fork, if you have a full consensus amongst the developers, there may not be a new coin. It's usually if there's a lack of consensus, then whoever is going to go with the new program will have the new coin. So what that means is that like Bitcoin has consensus. That's how it works. If all the different computers agree on a transaction, if at least 51% of the computers agree that a transaction happened, then a transaction happens, right? It's decentralized. That's why it works. So if there is a reprogram where they're going to do a software upgrade and everybody agrees, and it's at least a 51% consensus, I believe that's how it works, then the coin just changes. There's no new coin necessarily. If there is less than a 51% consensus on the new computer program, then whoever goes with the new program, the new coin comes from that. Now, again, that's kind of like, I'm about 52% sure that I'm right on that. So I will tell you that I'm like 89% sure that a lot of the elements of what I said are true. So it's somewhere along those lines.
Why did it tank the 15% if we didn't even get to the fork yet? I found that very strange.
Well, the reason that people will buy a coin and push up the price before a fork is because they think they're going to get free money.
Yeah.
Because when there's a fork, that new coin is airdropped to whoever is holding those coins.
Yeah.
And so, and the big like Binance and Coinbase and all that said that they're going to support the fork. So when you have these major exchanges that go, oh, we're going to support it, that means if you hold the original coin at the time of the snapshot, which I believe is the 15th at midnight,
15th, yeah.
Then, or it's on the 15th, I think it's at midnight. If you're holding the coin, then you get your free money. And so a lot of people see that as like a really easy way to get money. Of course, what I do is when I hear a fork, I buy the coin and then I sell it when I think it's really high. So that's just much more profitable for me. But yeah, I'm a trader. So
Mina Bear says it dropped, and this is in the chat, because CSW said he will attack it.
oh, so there's a consensus attack, like a 51% attack coming. Is that what's going on then? And what's Mina Bear is cool, dude. Mina Bear is a new member in the room, very active, and
yeah, I recognize the name. Yeah,
no, it's he. I think it's a he. Forgive me if it's
was
not.
he the new guy from last week?
Last week, yeah.
Yeah, because on our last show we were talking to him.
No,
Cool, said he was a dude. I said, isn't that the one that said, yes, I'm definitely a dude?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, well, the new person this morning did the same thing, but
he owns roughly 75% of the hash rate. Thanks, guys. I'm the new dude.
Nice.
Welcome, buddy. Okay, CSW is I know who that is.
You know, don't confuse that for CZ. CZ is not this person. I don't think he would attack him.
No, he's talking about CSW. Mina Bear, can you just tell me who CSW is? I can't remember. I know those initials. I just can't. Yeah, Craig Wright. I knew it. Thank you. Mina Bear is like gets a star for supporting today. And I had seen, as I was researching for today, I had seen a story about Craig Wright. So Craig Wright is big into Bitcoin Cash. Has claimed to be Satoshi himself in the past, though I think he's let that argument go. But that's interesting. So there was some news about Craig Wright, I guess, that scared people away.
Well, yeah, I didn't know about that. I just heard there was an issue with consensus and that a new coin may not come out. And that
might be the Craig Wright story. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, thanks, Mina Bear.
Yeah. Thanks.
What a great dude. All right. Cool.
Yeah, sorry to not be up on that. I was busy taking everybody's money at the casino over the weekend. So.
Good man. All right. Yeah, very interesting. Here's a story that I want to throw V's way. I'd like to hear your comments on this. So we already know that the Venezuela Petro coin is crap, at least according to our main man, the gorilla himself.
Shit. Hold on, I gotta go sell something.
Do it. But but there is an interesting story. So here's the headline. This is, I think, also from CCN. Venezuela to present petro crypto to OPEC as a unit of oil. So we've heard about their petro coin. Venezuela, of course, is a complete disaster zone. It's a socialist hell. It's a failed experiment, and every millennial should realize that this is what happens every time you try socialism, no matter how good you think you're going to do it next time. So sick of hearing millennials say that, no, we didn't do our way yet. Socialism is socialism. It's a disaster every time we try.
You tell them that capitalism has never been done all the way either.
Yeah. Let's try doing capitalism all the way before we try doing socialism all the way.
Hitler was a socialist. Just saying.
Yeah. He socialized pretty hard. You know where that leads. So socialism always ends in one thing: mass graves. That's what it always ends in. The Venezuelan government is reportedly going to present its oil-backed cryptocurrency, the Petro, to OPEC as a unit of account for oil, according to local news outlet Telesur. The country's petroleum minister and the president of the state-run oil and natural gas company PDVSA, Manuel Caveda, stated that petro transactions will begin in the first semester of 2019. On social media, the PDVSA further revealed, Caveda claimed that petro is, they're talking about the coin now, the petro is the future of the Venezuelan economy, and that growth and economic prosperity are equal to the petro. As CCN covered earlier this year, Daniel Pina, the executive secretary of Venezuela's Blockchain Observatory, told Cuatro F newspaper he expected the cryptocurrency to positively impact the economy within 3 to 6 months. They go on to say that they did a study, CCN did a study of the coin, and it's basically a blatant, quote, blatant copy of Dash, which actually sounds, we like Dash, right? Dash is kind of a cool concept.
Dash is it's a privacy type coin.
I don't know if it would.
Yeah, it used to be called dark coin. Problem with Dash is that if you own a masternode, you can see all the transactions, so there really isn't the privacy they claim.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a crypto owned by Venezuela. I trust that.
It's like, hey, little kid, want to have some candy?
Yeah. So V, I know you've said in the past that the petro from Venezuela is crap, but I don't know. Let's find it interesting that they're going to be using it in their relationship with OPEC. What does that mean? Does that mean anything?
Let me ask the audience, folks. What do you think about the petro? Do you think that it's legit? Folks, settle down. Guys, folks, settle down. Okay. All right. There it is.
That was great.
So there you've heard it from the people. The Petro, which is a bastardized version, a centralized bastardized version of Dash, coupled with some weirdo, crazy nonsense garbage code put in there, all in the control of the one and only Nicholas the Sweetness, the bus driver Maduro, is a recipe that is going to head for disaster. When people are talking about, the Petro being as a unit of measure for OPEC, I find it laughable. OPEC is acting these days less and less like a cartel and more like every man for himself. OPEC is falling apart. OPEC is on the way out. So, but Nicolas Maduro utilizing the Petro, there's no way. No one's accepting it. No one will accept it. They're not going to accept the Bolivar. They're sure as hell not going to accept the Petro. It's a stupid coin. But the concept that this man put out there, or the idea that having a unit of measure, having some sort of a cryptocurrency on which it is pegged by petroleum, is something that is very, very attractive to a lot of global players. And let me tell you right now, the Chinese are working on that. The Chinese government is working on a blockchain-based gold, petroleum, renminbi, aka yuan, trifecta that will be tokenized and put on the blockchain, and it could be, as one of the things that are being floated out there, the new gold trade settlement. It's a game changer, but it is probably one of the most powerful ways to kill three birds with one stone. Number one, the price of oil and the pricing of oil. Number two, the price and the controls of that price for gold. And last but not least, monetary stability free from the hands of Washington, Wall Street, and the City of London speculators. And that will be yuan and renminbi stabilization. You take those three together, all of a sudden now, blockchain seems like a very, very attractive option. And a lot of Chinese are postulating that. And there are rumors that the Chinese government is working on something similar to what I just said to bring out there as a stabilization. That will find success. Why? Because the country that's putting it out there is putting it out there as a stable marker, not Nicholas the Sweetness of the bus driver Maduro, who's just crazy. Socialism is a success, guys, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it spreads the misery equally. Everybody's equally miserable.
Equally miserable, yeah.
Yeah, and it's great if you're an elite because you get all the money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's perfect if you're a politician. That's why politicians love socialism.
It's unadulterated corruption.
I love it. It's great. It's crazy. Anyway, that's the take on the Petro. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, couple quick two quick stories. One, I wanted to give Nick a crack at this because we were talking about it earlier. The SEC charges and fines the Ether Delta founder, with operating an unregistered security exchange. So the SEC is claiming that Ether Delta should have registered as an exchange, and they were operating illegally. They obviously facilitated trades, one of which the SEC considered a legit security. Here's the sort of the core of it. According to the regulator, Ether Delta founder Coburn neither admitted nor denied the findings, but he consented to cooperate and pay the state $300,000 in unlawful profits. Moreover, he agreed to pay $13,000 in prejudgment interest and $75,000 in penalties. The SEC also stated that it would have imposed a greater fine if Coburn had failed to cooperate with the investigators. So they're patting him on the head for being a good little boy and doing what the state wanted them to do. Nick, you had a quick take on this. Cowboy, are you muted, Cowboy? Cowboy.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you now, buddy. I knew you'd be back.
I
You have a
didn't
quick
have
take on
anything to
that?
say about it. I'm like, I got nothing to say.
That's what you said. Well, you
No,
were
I didn't say that. I started talking, but
oh,
my
okay, go for it,
microphone
buddy.
disagreed with the fact. So no, so I've talked to Zach a number of times.
Oh, yeah?
Oh yeah, I used to talk to him all
You're
the
so
time.
cool.
Yeah, well, actually it's a function of I've been in crypto long enough and trading on Ether Delta long enough to back when Zach was the guy who was his own like what do you call it? He was his own tech support. Like, you know, I've been in crypto for
Back in my day, we used to talk to Ether Delta directly.
yeah, back in my day when I had my mechanical keyboard. Actually, the
We used to
mechanical
trade
keyboard's
cryptos with smoke signals in the woods.
So pretty much. Oh, nice leg down on Bitcoin just now. But I used to talk to Zach, and mostly for tech support. The thing about Zach is that he's American.
Yeah.
And he's identified himself. So you have an anomaly where you have a decentralized exchange that is American, and the guy has identified himself, and he's findable.
Mhm.
So what happens when you have a decentralized exchange with people who've not identified themselves and they're not American?
No ground to go to.
No ground to go to. So you have a very unique scenario where, you know, somebody's readily identifiable. Their family can be threatened. I mean, I'm not saying that's what the government did. I'm not saying the government threatened his family. I'm not saying they didn't. What I am saying is that they have leverage over this Zach person. And so they said, okay, we can give you the Royal Railroad, take everything you got, all the millions you made. We can make your life miserable. We can do things. Who knows what they threatened with. Or you can just cooperate and make like, you know, we'll take a few 100,000 and we'll have precedent for somebody in the crypto space bending to our will. And we will show that we are the man and we can beat our chest, and the idiot public will believe that we can get them, and no one will disobey us because they'll be scared. And that's how it went.
That's a shame. Yeah, Ether Delta is a great gift to the crypto community. And for those who don't know what it is, it was, at least, I don't know how much people use Fork Delta a lot now. They use IDEX, some other decentralized exchanges. But for a while, it was the place to trade cryptos, at least ERC20 tokens.
Well, I made most of my money on Ether Delta.
Yeah, I mean, there you have it. I mean, that's where you were doing your PPT trades in early days, right?
Yeah, PPT, and that's where I did what do you call it? I mean, I was on there well before that, but actually, I think I got on there because of Veritasium initially.
Yeah, me too.
So, but
I certainly. Yeah, I know a guy named Frank who traded some Veritasium there.
A guy named Frank. You know a guy named Frank that did that?
Yeah. Good looking bald guy.
Yeah.
So, hey, one more story we want to look at, and I sent this to you, Nick. It's in your Telegram. And this is, I want to know, what say you? The headline, and this is from CoinDesk. Bitcoin, this was from about, I'd say 10 hours ago, maybe? I'm not sure. Bitcoin teases bull move after defensive key price support. So, you're saying it moved toward 6,200 over the weekend, but bounced. It bounced at around 6,270 in USD. The bears failed to secure a sustained break below that rising trend line, and so we hit a higher low. And so this author's presenting that as pretty bullish. So to summarize his view at the end, the immediate bearish outlook has been neutralized. Recent highs above 6,500 could be put to the test if prices pass the inverse head and shoulders neckline hurdle of 63.90. Acceptance below the trend line support on the hourly would signal a resumption of the sell-off from 65.40 and could yield a test of major psychological support at 6,000. What say you, crypto cowboy?
Well, I mean, of course, I have the benefit of looking at the chart afterwards, so I don't want to sound.
Yeah, there's been a little history since then.
Yeah. So it didn't work out necessarily. It did not work out. We're actually going to find out in the next few hours if what he's saying is possible. So I actually recreated his chart. One of the things that I liked about his chart, or her chart, I don't know, him, is that there's a bullish divergence on the 4 hours. So that's kind of a short-termish indicator that we're going to see a rise. And so we might see a little bit of a fall before we see a rise, but that bullish divergence is a good sign. That's where and he used the histogram on that. So he did a histogram bullish divergence, which is usable. I prefer an RSI bullish divergence, which did occur. So you could actually I don't actually see one. So yeah, I'm not as convinced as him.
Okay.
So what he was saying is that like these three, and I recreated his chart in a sense, right? So I'm going to expand this a little bit so everybody can see it. This is his chart. These three little scoops right there, that's the inverse head and shoulders. That is a bullish formation. The neckline for an inverse head and shoulders in this case is something like that. And he said 63.90, so his neckline is a little bit lower. The way that he charts that I don't like is that he sort of like doesn't respect wicks and then he respects wicks. It's like you either respect a wick or you don't. That's just how I chart. He's a little loose on his charting, but you know what? That might mean that I don't chart right. Like, I mean, people do their own style. So I'm not saying that I don't like it because he's wrong. I'm saying I just don't do what he does. So, you know, to stay respectful on that. But essentially that's the neckline I believe he drew, and he was expecting a break around 63.90. So his neckline was probably a little bit higher, something like that. And it didn't, never reached the neckline. It actually broke downward so far. Now what could happen is that we could see a wick. It might look just like this candle right here on the left there. So it might actually wick up. Once this candle closes in 50 minutes, we could see a strong reversal. And I'm looking at Bitcoin on the short charts on 3 different exchanges. And, you know, there's a chance it could go back up. Now, if he is correct, what he's saying is that we could see, excuse me, we could see a move up to here and maybe even break above that neckline. And that would be great for the short term. You know, it would put in a higher low, and that would be represented if I'm reading him correctly. There's this low right there that I just put a circle on, and then there's that low right there that I just put a circle on. That's a higher low, and you want to see those. That's an indication we have bullishness coming. So if we can put in, like, maybe come up here and then somehow maybe bounce off one of these fib lines and put in a higher low again, then that's forward momentum. The issue I have there is his chart is on the 4 hour. And the 4 hour is usable for shorter term or even some midterm type moves. But I would be focusing on the daily chart. And the daily chart tells me that there's a decent chance that we actually could fall to, say, 6,100, 6,200 before we actually see like a strong rise. And personally, I think that at some point, yeah, as we travel kind of up this path, we're going to actually come down like that, and then we're going to slowly build and go up from there. We could actually, excuse me, we could actually wick down really quickly to 5,800, and a lot of TA suggests that we are going to see that 5,800 before we actually see a big run upward.
Yeah, you've been saying that. You've been saying that for a long time.
Well, I did.
Nothing's changed your mind about that, huh?
Not really. You know, I did a comparison, and I'm seeing a lot of people comparing the 2014 bear market to the current bear market, and they're not doing it right. So
they are wrong.
They're wrong. Well, most people are not correct, and again, that's all sort of a matter of opinion. I mean, really, you're going to know you're correct afterwards, and that's even questionable because did it go up because you were correct, or did it go up for another reason? You know, it's just TAs like that. But what they're not doing is people are comparing the 2014 bear market to the 2018. I see this a lot. It's becoming a meme. And what they do is they put the charts one on top of the other. I actually try to do it, and TradingView doesn't have the data, so I need to find a different. I'm actually going to start using NinjaTrader because they just have a lot more data for back testing. And but that guy that did it, it was on TradingView. I was able to, or the girl, whatever. Sorry, people get offended and say guy all the time, whatever. If I were able to, you're able to actually kind of move the charts, and I was able to make them congruent, and he did not make them congruent. He actually had them like the same, he had the same exact amount of time. So the bear market before was like, I don't know, I'm just going to pick a number. We'll say 18 months long. This one might be like so far 15 months. So it's, and the way that everything is, if you line up the actual price action, there's like a 10, 15, 20% lower time frame. It's compressed. So he didn't do that. He actually just did it like, you know, bar for bar, and you can't do things bar for bar. It's just not how it works. Right. So, you know, he's like, oh, it's going to go down. And like, no, actually, if you if you make the two charts congruent, and I've been trying to find a way to do this because I have to probably get NinjaTrader, but if you can make the two charts congruent, the indication is that we'll drop to like 5,800 at a quick wick and we'll run back up.
Cool.
Yeah, I wish I had a graphic lab. I tried to do it like last Friday or something, and TradingView is just not cooperating.
Right. Awesome. Any other thoughts for the week ahead before we wrap up?
Oh, well, as far as Bitcoin's concerned, we're like I say, we're kind of range bound. So I mean, like for example, I've been in a particular coin. I don't want to talk about what coin that is, but the room knows that coin. I've been in it for like 3 weeks. It's had some ups, it's had some downs, and people are saying, "Oh, are you going to get out?" I mean, Bitcoin looks like it's going to fall. I'm like, well, you know, there's a reason that I call it a 15-minute a day trade. I bought it 3 weeks ago. I haven't changed the stop loss. I took profits at the target. And the first target, we got 2 more targets. That coin is a 4-letter coin, and we were only in one of those, so people in the room should know what I'm talking about. And basically, I think Bitcoin is more or less stable. Yeah, we might dip 200 points, you know, $200. We might even dip a little bit more.
Sorry, I'm getting. I wasn't in the chat room in the YouTube chat. I'm being told, V, that there's no chart on the screen.
Oh.
Is there something you can do, V? I see his chart, but I don't know if V needs to click on it or something.
Let me go over to YouTube myself.
Sorry about that, guys. I thought that was weird. Okay, now it should be good.
Sorry about that, everybody. I wasn't paying attention to the chat for a few minutes.
Well, briefly, this is the head and shoulders that the guy was talking about. This is the bullish divergence that he drew out. It's kind of hard to see now. We didn't break above. We may still break above. This is the long wick, the long candle down, which is like indicative that we're actually not going to come back up, but it might wick back up right there. I think we might follow along this range-bound path for a while. 6,400 is the number to beat at the moment and stay above. And to make it really simple, I think at some point we'll dip down to 61, maybe 62 at least, and come back up and maybe a little bit lower. And then to kind of not make this show too long, I'll go to the daily. I think that once we break right up here, see 6,800 right there, these two highs right there, that's when, if we can break that and stay above that for, I'm going to say 3 days. If we can print at least 1 daily candle and 3 daily candles above 6,800, I'm going to say that we are like on the way to neutrality.
Cool. Very cool. God willing.
Inshallah.
And folks, yeah. little Khabib there. I like that.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Tomorrow, guys, I'm going to smash your boy.
So
Proper 12 Irish whiskey.
Oh man, we triggered. Listen, whenever you bring up either of those guys, you trigger V about the fight. He's
I'm still getting over that fight. It was beautiful. Just seeing Conor McGregor mauled to death. It was
it's weird. He like, there's like some hidden aggression that V has toward me that he hasn't told me about.
And
he's using the fight to take it out on me.
Alhamdulillah.
He's constantly sending me clips of Conor getting choked out. He's like, and he knows that I'm a Conor fan, and I'm like, we've got to go like family therapy. He seems like really, he can't stop rubbing it in my face for some reason.
I'm a sore winner. What can I say? I'm a sore winner.
I'm only kidding. It's funny though. But anyway, folks, go to watchustrade.io. Our beautiful new website. Wonderful things happen there. You can see more about what we do. Watchustrade.io. If you want to really watch what Cowboy's doing, what Crypto Nikos is doing, our buddy Z, you got to get in the room. You just gotta. And things we all have this gut feeling that things are heating up in this market, and you want to be in there. You want to be ready to go. We recommend our 6-month subscription, 10% off. You can pay for that in BTC, and check it out. So the other thing is, we want to thank you for subscribing to our new YouTube. So we have that link. We should have that link in the description. Otherwise, you could see me in the chat right now. I'm Watch Us Trade in the chat. And you should be, I think you can click on my icon there and go and like that page or subscribe to that page. Yeah. And check out our other shows. Cowboy and I are doing some stuff that is evergreen on Thursdays if you want to just learn. Also, our Tuesday shows, a lot of teaching that goes on there. So check out those past shows. They're really, really valuable. You know, in the past, we just used to chart coins on demand and it was good and everything like that. But we're doing some things a little differently now, especially our Tuesday and Thursday shows. Tuesday, we're sort of looking at recent lessons learned and showing you how trades were made. On Thursday, we're really teaching. Cowboy and I have been just sort of picking Cowboy's been picking an indicator or some kind of, market tool and showing you how to use it for trading. So very, very, very cool stuff there. So make sure you check out those shows. Other than that, I'm kicking it back to you, V. We're good to go.
Yeah, we're all set, folks. Again, subscribe, like, comment, and share. And most importantly, go to Watch Us Trade. Watch Us Trade. One word. WatchUsTrade.io and join. All sorts of beautiful payment options. Before you go get a job at the Macy's perfume counter, check out WatchUsTrade.io. And with that being said, we're over and out. Latest.